Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a little bit, but since we're in lockdown still here in Greece, I really haven't been walking around too much. I am also planning to travel in 2 weeks to go home. So in an effort to do all of that as safely as possible, I'm trying to limit a lot of my contact with the outside world so that I can protect myself, so that I can therefore protect my family. I know that a lot of people have strong opinions about traveling right now, and I totally get that. But I think that each one of us has to sort of make our own decisions about what's right for us in the situation. And if you're gonna do it, to do it as safely as you possibly can. Anyway, I'm not gonna talk too much about that here because I really came on here to update you that I got my residence permit. After you guys have heard me talk about this all year long, and it's finally happened. So last Monday, I went online to check the status of my application, and it said, and this was like Monday at like, I don't know, 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning, and it says, the resident permit is ready. And I started to cry actually, because I really didn't think I was gonna be able to go home to travel unless I actually had it, because the way the entry requirements read, it says that you have to be a resident and that applications for renewal didn't count. And so I assumed that also applications to get a residence permit didn't count. And my visa, my like long-term visa had expired. So that wasn't really an option to use that. So I know lots of people have questions about applying for the residence permit. So I'm gonna go into that briefly. If you want to skip to the part where I'm going to talk later about the future of this channel, I'm going to put a timestamp down, and then you can just skip to that if you have no interest in the residence permit process. I did use a lawyer, which you really probably don't have to, but it does make the process easier. So I'm going to talk about what I know the process is. If you don't have one, I'm going to talk briefly about having a lawyer and those things that it entails. So if you don't have a lawyer, to get an appointment, you have to email the administration where you're applying. Now, I don't have the emails for all of the administrations because each like prefecture has their own contact information. So down below, I will put a link, I will put the email address that as of right now in November 2020 is the email address to send in a request for an appointment. Now, they're supposed to be moving all these requests online, but if you don't already have a residence permit, you can't book an appointment online. It's kind of confusing because if you go online, it sort of seems like you should be able to make an appointment online if you don't have the residence permit yet, but you can't. So then you'll email them. At least when I've been emailing them, they've either gotten back to me that day or the next day. I would not suggest calling them. They don't usually answer the phone. I don't know why. If you're here in Athens and you have trouble and we're not in lockdown, then my suggestion is to actually go down to the office. You probably can't go into the administration office, but there's a copy shop next to it that should be able to help you. You can pay your fees there. You can get copies because you have to have like 1 billion copies of everything. You can get photos taken there for your photos, because you have to have like 4 color photos, like passport type photos, and then you have to have them on a CD when you turn in your application. So you make your appointment. You need to have all your documents translated to Greek. So your birth certificate, it also needs to be apostilled, which probably needs to be done in your home country, unless for some reason the embassy in the country that you're in do it for you. I haven't heard of anybody that does. They might. You need to have copies of your passport, copies of any financial documentation that you're going to use to say that why you're staying here. All of this needs to be translated to Greek. I also needed to have proof of residence, so I had my lease agreement. Here in Greece, when you get an apartment, you have to have a tax number, and then that goes online and gets registered on a thing called Taxisnet, so you need to probably have a printout of that just stating that you have a lease. Once I had the appointment, you go down there. My lawyer did it for me, so I didn't go inside during the application process because of lockdown and COVID. haven't been letting as many people go inside. So I waited outside. She went in, presented all my documents. They asked for my bank statements to be translated to Greek, which I knew they needed to be, but the lawyer didn't think they needed to be, so I just didn't argue with them. And then they wanted proof that I could withdraw my money from my savings account here in Greece. So what we ended up sending them was a copy of a receipt from an ATM here in Greece from the account that I was using as my money. That seemed to be fine for them. I will say the other thing you need if you're using an attorney is, what do they call it? Power of attorney, which you will need to get from the KEP, which is, I don't even know what that translates to in English, but basically it's a place that's run by the government where you can go and get your documents like stamped that this is a legal document. Right now, you can make an appointment with them online. I don't know if you can actually go. I just walked in because at the time there weren't the restrictions. So you may need to investigate that. So really there isn't a whole lot of difference in the terms of like what you would do, only that my lawyer made the appointment for us. So the other thing I will mention is when we sent the rest of the documents that they needed, they wanted that a copy of that power of attorney again. And so we needed to send that with the documents. So that's where I come to the next part. Follow up with the administration often. So there are two separate emails. One is to make an appointment, and one is to get information. I'm going to put both of those below. The one to get information is like one to check up on your application, because if you go online to the website where you can check the status, it sometimes just sits in the same position forever. So after my secondary documents they needed got submitted, it just said being examined. And I was like, okay, so finally I emailed them and I found out that the attorney did not send the power of attorney with the documents, and that delayed it. But they didn't email me and they didn't email my attorney asking for these documents. It just sat there. So if I had never emailed them, they would have never told us. I might still be sitting here waiting, wondering what the heck was going on. So they were very nice and they accepted that power of attorney via email from my attorney, so that was great. And then that was at the end of October, so it took about 3 weeks after that for that notice to come up on the system saying that it was ready. Now I had emailed them the week before and they said it was ready, but it wasn't showing in the system. And you need the residence permit number, which is given to you on that update, when you make the appointment, because you can't register in the system without that number. So I'm going to put a screenshot in here. I'm going to blur out my information and show you where on this screen you can find it, because it doesn't say residence permit number. It's just this very vague like description of what it is. So you need that number. So then you're going to go to yet another website that's new, and you're going to register on the site, and then you can register to get an appointment to pick up your residence permit. I will include a link to that as well. Okay, so you go in, you register. Some of it's in English and some of it is in Greek, so I recommend that if you're doing this, that you use Chrome, the Chrome browser, and you download the Google Translate Chrome extension, so that way you can Google Translate this piece. So then you go in and you go into your account and you can see like all the different things you can do. You can see application for renewal, and then at the bottom in English it says performances, which is a really strange word, but basically it's like when you need to service your residence permit. So to pick up your residence permit, if you need to make changes to things, this is where you can go to make an appointment to do that. Now my attorney has told me that when I need to make a change like to my address or whatever, we can send a registered piece of mail. I actually think you now need to make an appointment, but I'm not sure. Everything's sort of in a state of flux here because of how things are working. So they may actually right now want it by mail because they don't want people coming down to those offices, which totally makes sense. So I would just email the administration and ask them what they want you to do. They will tell you. They are not gonna like beat around the bush and not tell you. Not all administrations, by the way, are online yet. So if you are applying somewhere not in Athens or say Thessaloniki or Corfu or Crete, anywhere with large cities, you may actually just have to call them or email them and get an appointment. And I would just say, have a lot of patience and a lot of ouzo on hand when you do that. So luckily for me, because I had a government appointment, even though we were in lockdown, I was able to go pick up the residence permit. So you go in, you pick your time and your date. Now, not a lot of appointments are being given out right now because of lockdown. So I knew my residence permit was ready on Monday. I didn't go on Tuesday because I didn't know if I was going to be able to get the thing printed out by Tuesday. So I just made it for Wednesday morning. So it was really fast once I was able to do it. They give you a receipt with your name on it and a number. And the receipt, of course, is in Greek. So don't fret, you'll figure it out. When I got there, you go to the gate. There's like a big rolling gate in the Athens one. And you go to the security guard and you show him this thing and tell them you have an appointment and they'll send you in. Usually, you may have to figure out which door you're going to. My attorney thought it would be the furthest door down, but it was actually the first door. I just looked for other people holding the same piece of paper as me and figured they were probably in the right spot, and they were. They came out and like announced people's names. They came out, announced mine. I went in. You need to take with you to your appointment the temporary blue certificate they gave you when you got your, when you sent in your documents. They will give you this big blue piece of paper. It has like a picture of you on it. It has all your information on it and it says you've applied. You need to bring that. You need to bring your passport. And if you've printed out that receipt, you need to bring that and give that to them as well because they take that blue certificate back from you. Then they printed out some sort of decision in Greek. And they walked over and got my little residence permit envelope. I signed a piece of paper and I walked out of there. It literally, I waited more in line than I did when I got inside. So it's a super fast process once you get it. My residence permit is good for 2 years. Now that's 2 years from when I applied. So that was August 25th of 2020. So I have until 2022. Each residence permit type has a different length of time. So you definitely need to check that and see, because on that decision it'll tell you when you need to apply for your renewal. Mine is, it says 2 months before mine expires. And keep in mind, it may take longer than those 2 months for you to get your new permit. So they'll give you another blue certificate. It may have changed by then, but right now this is what it is. It also means that if you're using that Greek residence permit to travel, particularly here in Europe, you may not be able to leave Greece on it. They may not let you use it as a valid travel document. Now, if you can use your home country passport to travel to somewhere, then you're golden. You're fine. I think that's it. I know that was really fast, but I don't want this video to be 20 minutes long about the residence permit process. So I am gonna hopefully write a blog post about this in the next month or two. So when I do, I'll come back and link it down below. I want to get some more questions answered for myself so that I can give you a better written blog post to refer to. Okay. So some people have been asking me, why I'm not doing my weekly videos as much, and just a bunch of other questions like what I'm gonna do. And anyway, I think it's become apparent, at least to some of you, that doing my weekly walks has become sort of monotonous and sort of boring, at least for me. And I feel like it's not quality content for you guys, and that's not what I want to do. I want this to be useful for you, or entertaining. I don't want this to become this channel of me walking around. There are plenty of channels of people walking around Athens. I don't need to add to that. And we're in lockdown, so I can't really go anywhere. I mean, I can walk around in my neighborhood. I could probably walk a little bit further, but I am really hesitant to push my luck because the fines are double. And I can't really afford the fine anyway, even if it wasn't double. I don't want to be paying a fine for being in a neighborhood I'm not supposed to be in. And like I said, I'm trying to protect myself so that I don't infect my family when I go home. So my hope was I had all these plans for things to film, but of course I can't. Around Athens, and then I was hoping to travel in the spring. I think that will be possible in the spring, but I think it's going to be at least till February before that happens, just because I think the Greek government is going to continue to be cautious into 2021 until we get a vaccine or our numbers start to drop significantly here. So with that being said, there'll be this video. I will obviously film flying home. I don't know how much of my home visit I will film because I don't know how my family's going to feel about being on YouTube. And really, my time home is meant to be time home with my family. So there may not be a whole lot in December. I'm not sure. I know a lot of people do Vlogmas where they vlog every day and they have a theme. I can't do that. I cannot do Vlogmas. I work full-time. I can't vlog full-time and work full-time and enjoy my family. So I'm definitely a person that is gonna prioritize my family and my personal life over this. If one day this becomes my solo thing, then that might be different. Don't think that's ever gonna happen though. So that's just sort of an update. When I am back in the spring and we're out of lockdown, I will go back to filming Greece for you guys. I know a lot of you are here for that, so just be patient with me. I will do my best. I would say that if you want more updates than what I'm gonna do here, you should probably follow me on Instagram. I usually post stories a couple of times a week. I don't do it all the time because A, we're in lockdown and I don't leave my apartment, and B, my life isn't that interesting. Somebody asked me to make a day in the life video. I literally sometimes sit at my desk, aka my kitchen table, for like 8 hours a day. You know, I get up, I go to the bathroom, I go make lunch, and I take a break. Sometimes I go outside and walk down the street to go get like a snack, and then I come back. So my daily life isn't always that exciting. So I'm probably not gonna be making a day in the life video anytime soon, until at least we come out of lockdown. Anyway, if you have any questions about the residence permit, or the channel, or anything, please ask me below. That's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in whatever the next video is.